Welcome, dear friends, to the WordSmith, a sanctuary where words, voices, and melodies converge to be explored, celebrated, and, on occasion, unpicked like a tapestry thread by thread. Today, we turn our gaze towards the formidable artistry of Ren with a reaction and lyrical analysis of his audacious and thought-provoking piece, also I've heard, Crucify Your Culture. As ever, I invite all of you to join in the dialogue. Do share your reflections in the comment section below. If you find yourself stirred, do extend your kindness with a like and a subscription. I know a lot of you haven't subscribed. Please do so. It does help this channel greatly. And the sharing of this very video with others who delight in such explorations. I also want to take this time to thank all of these wonderful souls on screen for their generous contributions. It has enabled me to get this new mic as well as a new PC to enhance the quality of editing for your sake. You have no idea how much you help this channel, and I just want to say from the very depths of my heart, thank you. For those who wish to help sustain the WordSmith and its continued voyages through music and meaning, your support via Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, or the gracious super thanks is profoundly appreciated. And it also ensures that the space remains alive and improving with story, song, and analysis. Alright, well that's enough out of me. Let's dive straight into it, shall we? Alright. Really keen to getting into this. A huge thank you to the patrons once again for voting for this song to be covered as the first reaction of the month. If you guys would like the pleasure of being one of the people to be able to vote on what type of song out of a selection of 5 are available to be covered, please do check out my Patreon, do join. It really, really does help. You have no idea. So thank you once again. This is a 2-minute 35-second song, so I'm anticipating this to be a fairly short reaction video, but let's see. Here we go. Love your music thus far. Ooh, good guitar work.
A murderous mind, born into a murderous time, where right or wrong is a blurred line, hard to define. For greed is poison the well. We all drink from the chalice. It's a long way down into the rabbit hole, Alice.
Oh, yeah. Okay. See, now, if you're going to be starting a song with lyrics as depthful as that, it's probably going to be a very long video for me. Okay, so that's a very strong start. In these lines, Ren paints a world steeped in violence, not merely as isolated acts, but as a cultural inheritance, a murderous mind born of a murderous time, where morality itself is warped, smeared into ambiguity. The phrase blurred line, hard to define, underscores this sort of ethical erosion. The compass of right and wrong has spun itself into dizziness, leaving us unmoored. His invocation of greed as the universal toxin poisoned the well we all drink from the chalice. That sort of transforms avarice into a sacrament of corruption, a shared communion in our own downfall. And with a sly, almost cruel literary wink, Ren calls upon Alice, tumbling into a rabbit hole that here is no place of whimsical wonder, but rather an endless descent into societal decay. It is a verse that combines the prophetic with the poetic, at once lament and indictment, rendered in imagery both mythic and modern. Yeah, I thought this will be a short reaction based on the length of the song. It's going to be deep, therefore long. All right, so let's take it back a little bit and keep going.
To the rabbit hole, Alice.
Now I crucify your culture, burn down the altar. Religion of consumerism picks us up like vultures.
Is this a song about America?
It's the same if it's Bush or Obama or Trump.
Ooh. Okay, yeah, no. It's definitely in reference to America. But a lot of the cultural systems that have been put in place do derive from America, even though he is Welsh. So it's universally applicable, is what I'm saying. Now, here, Ren sharpens his blade into a cry of iconoclasm, dismantling the very shrines upon which modern society genuflects. Crucify your culture, burn down the altar. These are not the ravings of chaos, but the rhetoric of a prophet scorning false gods. The deity here is not spiritual, but commercial, religion of consumerism that scavenges upon our collective weakness like carrion birds. His scorn is laced with bitter resignation. We have been reduced to marionettes conditioned to obedience. They say jump, we jump, in other words. And in a final devastating stroke, Ren levels his critique against the illusion of political choice, exposing the homogeny of power by flattening ideological divisions into one bleak continuum. He mentions Bush or Obama or Trump. This is not mere rebellion. It is a stripping bare of cultural pretense, a firebrand sermon against the gilded machinery that governs our desires. Really, there's so much depth in this. This is going to be a long video. All right. Already this song is quite full. A lot of the topics that he covers, mental health, politics, society. I'm going to cover that in the podcast, which will be coming up in November, by the way. So please do keep your eyes and ears peeled for that, and do support me in that regard just by watching and listening when it does come out. Thanks once again. Okay, here we go. Let's keep it going.
They say jump, we jump. It's the same if it's Bush or Obama or Trump. I'm not buying into
Neither am I.
Three-party system. I'm rising against them illusions of choice. Take our voice or take back those big election system deficit. Represent nobody but your money. Funny how you keep them sweet, honey. Shepherds and the sheep.
Damn it. Okay, this may be a very long video. Okay, so here Ren unfurls his fiercest skepticism, laying siege to the hollow pantomime of democracy. With biting candor, he refuses to buy into the 1, 2, or 3-party system, dismantling the facade of plurality to reveal a monolith of power masquerading as choice. His words bristle with insurgent resolve. I raise against them, which is like a rallying cry against the machinery that confiscates the people's voice and feeds them back the bitter cruelty or bitter gruel of a rigged election. The indictment happens with sardonic wit, a system deficit that claims to represent yet bows only before currency's thrown. So Ren laces his critique with mocking irony, keep him sweet, honey, in other words, and that is exposing how governance pacifies through illusion, grooming citizens into docile compliance. His final metaphor, shepherd and the sheep dummy, it sort of lands like a blunt cudgel, a grim reminder that the populace, lulled into obedience, is herded not towards liberty, but into pens of quiet subjugation. This is poetry wielded as weaponry. It is a howl against the masquerade of freedom. This man is a genius. And so we shall continue.
Nobody but your money, funny how you keep them sweet, honey. Shepherds and the sheep.
Someday they'll find a way to sell my views. Like they sold the concept of freedom to you. They
Sell
sold
my
the voice of
views.
Huxley, of Orwell, Guevara, Dalai Lama. Now they're all just a product to you.
And now you care more about your new shoes, the loose screws, the minds of politicians that abuse, choose to shape you.
Yeah,
break you,
Donald.
Consumerism breaks you until your thoughts to end you. They make you want to hate you, so you keep buying.
He's so good. Okay, so in this searing passage, Ren peers into the machinery of commodification with both fury and despair. He recognizes that even rebellion itself is not immune to the market's talons. Someday they'll find a way to sell my views. A chilling prophecy of art declawed and repackaged, just as freedom has been varnished and hawked as a consumable illusion. So too have the voices of visionaries. He mentioned Huxley, Orwell, Guevara, Dalai Lama, neutered into slogans and brands. Now, what follows is a devastating juxtaposition. In other words, a populace more enchanted by new shoes than the loose screws, rattling in the heads of power-drunk politicians who twist truth into shackles. So Ren's indictment crescendos into a visceral metaphor. Consumerism, that word, you. A brutal violation that strips individuality, replacing genuine thought with manufactured self-loathing. So this psychological violence fuels an endless cycle of compulsion. He says buying 3 times. the refrain of a species shackled by its appetites, blinded by its possessions, and estranged from the very self. It is protest in poetry, transfigured into lament, prophetic and unflinchingly raw. I'm pausing so much, and I do apologize. I know 90% of you do not mind, but the lyrics, again, just so heavy. And this is a 5-year-old song, so it's still applicable today. Good on you, Ren. Here we go.
So you keep buying, corporation frying, defying,
I love that
forging
line.
deniers and burning empires, tapping to the telephone wires, and history's biased. It glorifies and justifies our evil.
Great
It justifies
rhythm.
the wars that rain destruction upon people.
Every single human born equal.
They treat you like an asset, not a human, man. It's see-through, slavery through debt. You think that mortgage is to help you? Bills stacking high, killing dreams, money maims you, lying tames you.
Line same to you. Okay, right, interesting. I'm getting a bigger picture of what the song is about. Okay, heating up. Here, Ren's words tumble like firebrands, scorching through the veils of corporate dominion and historical deceit. He rails against corporation frying, defying fraudulent list liars, casting multinationals as architects of empire, fattened upon lies and power. With tap into the telephone wires, he conjures the specter of surveillance, an invisible web that tightens around every whisper. His indictment of history is blistering. Biased, it glorifies and justifies our evil, he mentions, exposing the way narratives are lacquered to sanctify conquest and legitimize wars that rain down ruin upon innocence. So, against the backdrop, Ren also reasserts the primordial truth: every single human born equal, only to reveal how society strips away that dignity, reducing life to mere assets, transparency masking exploitation. Debt, he reminds us, is simply slavery by subtler chains. The mortgage dressed as mercy, the bull as benevolence, each one a tether that's just constantly tightening. The closing image, lion tames you, distills the tragedy. The mighty spirit of humanity, once sovereign and untamable, broken into submission by the quiet brutality of economic dominion. It is both elegy and battle cry. It is fierce in its condemnation and piercing in its truth. So profound here from Ren once again. Okay, I do see what you guys were saying. This was a highly requested song for me to react and analyze. I see why. Here we go.
You think that mortgage is to help you? Bills stacking high, killing dreams, money maims you, lying tames you. The land of the free.
Yeah, exactly.
Irony, a hierarchy, folks, education kills the fire in me. Still I stand strong like two towers that were knocked down by greedy men's thirst for power and now...
Ooh. Okay. We have to take a deeper look at that. So here Ren wields irony like a blade, slicing through the hollow bravado of slogans. The land of the free becomes a bitter jest. A nation shackled by hierarchy and dulled by false education that extinguishes curiosity, the very fire in me, he says. Yet his stance is not one of surrender, but of defiance. He proclaims himself unbroken, standing strong like two towers. Now, that reference is unmistakable. That's a reference to the Twin Towers, felled in violence and co-opted into narratives of fear and control, invoked here as both tragedy and symbol. Ren reframes their collapse as the consequence of greedy men's thirst for power, a reminder that behind every catastrophe lies avarice and ambition. The stanza trembles with both grief and resilience, capturing the paradox of a spirit that mourns what is lost yet refuses to yield, standing upright amidst the rubble of lies. Jeez. Okay. I mean, he's... The thing that annoys me is, why didn't I hear about Ren way earlier? And the song only has 709,000 views. That ain't right. 7 million would be more appropriate. Okay, but here we go.
Like two towers that were knocked down by greedy men's thirst for power and now greed.
Greed plants a seed that will destroy us all if we succumb to greed. Fuck greed, silent I breathe.
He said that line
Blood
before.
money. Greed makes us bleed, makes us bleed, makes us bleed.
Our political system is a farce. Democracy will not exist till actions speak louder than money. Wealth is the poison honey. Another money making holiday for the Easter bunny.
Bloody hell, Ren. I have no idea how he keeps doing this. So Ren here, he just erupts into a mantra of condemnation. His every line a hammer blow against the ravenous spectre of greed. He casts it not merely as a vice, but as an existential contagion. The seed that will destroy us all, he says. A parasitic root system spreading through every vein of society. His raw expletive, fuck greed, strips away poetic ornament, laying bare unfiltered rage. The act of silence, I breathe, burn money. That just becomes both ritual and rebellion, a symbolic purification against a god that demands ceaseless sacrifice. Greed, he insists, is vampiric, I would say. Makes us bleed, makes us bleed, makes us bleed. The repetition mimicking both chant and wound. The critique widens into politics, a farce where democracy is a theater of puppets, its strings pulled by wealth until, like he says, actions speak louder than money. And he does so with a venomous wit he brands. Wealth, a poison honey, sweetened to deceive, yet fatal at the core before collapsing into satire. Another money-making holiday for the Easter Bunny. I love that. It is both absurd and chilling, exposing the grotesque comedy of a world where even innocence, myth, and joy are stitched into the tapestry of consumerism. This is prophetic fury couched in poetic defiance. Yeah, he's the GOAT. Okay, this is taking me a bit longer than usual, but yeah, here we go.
Honey, another money making holiday for the Easter bunny.
Yes.
Have a suck out your soul, a drink Coca-Cola, lining up the pockets of the fat controller, selling fear to the people, let it
Fat
spread like a
controller's
bowl of
interesting.
propaganda machine. Remember the dream, it's hopeless. Nikola Tesla, 1883. The DC current system fought against the AC, but not because the AC system wasn't any better, because people don't like change when money's at the center.
People don't like change when money is at the center. That is immensely profound. The gravity embedded within those lyrics is just so immense. So, yeah, keen to unravel that and just make it a bit lighter. So, Ren channels here a blistering critique of the commercial and ideologic apparatus that governs modern life, casting advertising as a vampiric force. Adverts suck out your soul. Consumerism is personified as both seduction and coercion. Drink Coca-Cola, he jeers. It's like a siren call of the pockets of the fat controller, a symbol of systemic gluttony. Fear, too, is weaponized, allowed to spread like Ebola, as the propaganda machine transforms aspiration into despair, rendering the American dream hopeless. Yet, Ren's intellect pierces further, invoking Nikola Tesla 1883 to illustrate the insidious intersection of innovation and profit. The war between DC and AC current was not technical, but more of a cultural reference. It's a testament to humanity's resistance to change when money's at the center. Each line is a scalpel, dissecting the layers of control, manipulation, and stagnation, fusing historical insight with scolding social commentary. It is both, again, an elegy for lost potential and a furious wake-up call to consciousness. Okay, I think I'm just going to let it play through because I could easily spend an hour on this. An hour on a 2-minute 35-second song. It'll be interesting to see how long this video ends up being. But here we go again.
Don't like change when money's at the center. Move, let me
Love that
enter
line.
from the epicenter.
It's my favorite line
Voice
of
and
the song.
parliamenter, who's the main contender? Oh, it's you, Mr. President. Evident that the counterintelligence is a hell of a prevalent.
Hell of a prevalence. Nice. Okay, so cool. Wow. Okay. Well bloody done, Ren. That was outstanding. Okay. I'll talk about that last stanza, and then afterwards I will summarize what I believe the song is, and I want you guys to let me know what you think it's about in the comment section below. Okay, so that last verse was very tightly wound. Ren sort of positions himself as both observer and provocateur, demanding entry from the epicenter, the heart of power itself, to confront this rot at its core. His imagery of a poisoned parliament evokes a legislative body saturated with corruption. Its moral decay systemic and pervasive. The interrogation, who's the main contender? Oh, it's you, Mr. President. That's sardonic and accusatory, holding authority accountable with surgical precision. Yet he does not stop at surface critique. He pierces the mechanisms beneath the pomp, recognizing that counterintelligence is a hell of prevalent, I think he said, a network of hidden influence that perpetuates deceit and manipulation. So in this stanza, I'm going to say, Ren marries rhythm and rhetoric, turning political observation into sharp-edged poetry where each syllable lands like a probe into the machinery of control, revealing a theater of power both farcical and insidious. Okay, so Ren's Crucify Your Culture is a searing, unapologetic critique of modern society, exposing the corrosive effects of consumerism, political corruption, and systemic greed. The song, for me at least, traverses themes of cultural manipulation, the commodification of ideas, and the moral compromises embedded in both historical and contemporary power structures. And he does so through vivid imagery and biting social commentary. Ren examines how individuals are coerced into conformity, silenced, and distracted from critical thought, while wealth and authority perpetuate cycles of exploitation. So what I think his intention is to awaken conscientiousness, challenging us, the listeners, to question the illusions of freedom and of choice and progress sold to them by governments, corporations, and media. So I would think he seeks to provoke reflection and rebellion against the pervasive influence of greed, propaganda, and the commodification of both ideas and human lives. At least that's what I think. I also think that from this song, we should learn to scrutinize the systems that govern society, to resist passive acceptance, and to reclaim our agency and critical thinking. So I think this is him inviting us to see beyond the facades of culture and consumerism, recognizing both the forces that manipulate us and the responsibility we bear to resist them. It is a call to intellectual and moral vigilance wrapped in incisive lyricism and just unflinching honesty. Okay, so we draw to a close. Should this exploration have pleased your ear or quickened your thoughts, a like, a subscription, and the sharing of this video will serve as both a kindness and a beacon guiding many more curious souls into our growing community. And for those of you with the generosity of spirit to support the Wordsmith more directly, you may do so through Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, or Super Thanks. Each contribution, no matter how modest, helps keep these voyages of voice and verses alive. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, do be kind, gentle, and respectful to one another and help each other out when you can. And I'll see you lot in the next video. Take care, everyone. Cheers.